Yeah. Welcome to the mission. Strap in, soldier. Fatherhood, don't wait. Let's move. Boots down, sunrise, another day to lead. I'm raising up my squad, planting purpose in the seeds. No manual, no map, just the heart of a man. Turn pressure into diamonds, yeah, that's always been the plan. From the rookies to the vets, we all walk the same roads. Carry heavy on our backs, but we never lose the load. We break cycles, build strength, keep our honor understood. Welcome to the front line, Operation Fatherhood. This is real talk, real dads, real grit. Suit up every day, cause our kids need it. Stand tall, stand firm, yeah, we rise where we stood. It's the brotherhood. It's the mission. Operation Fatherhood. No love, no cap, just truth in the trenches. We lead with love. We fight with purpose. We protect our soul. Stand tall, stand firm, stand firm, stand firm. We stood. You in the mission. Stand tall, stand firm, stand firm, stand firm. We stood. Operation Fatherhood.
All right, guys, we are back. We are back for yet another episode of Operation Fatherhood. Today's episode is going to be something every dad needs but rarely ever talks about, and that's brotherhood. And what do I mean by brotherhood? It's that kind of connection that keeps you grounded when life hits you, when shit happens in the world, pertaining to our family, work life, whatever it is, it just starts piling on us. Sometimes we end up needing a community, and what better community to have than other dads, right? We're talking about us being great dads and us being able to be great dads. So why not reach out to other father figures, right? Other dads that are around, that are in our circle. Because let's be real, iron sharpens iron, point blank, period, right? And a lot of dads end up learning to lift each other up when, your brother is down, right? Is going through some things. You give them words of encouragement, whether it's, guidance, advice, if they're learning how to navigate fatherhood for the first time, they're new dads. Again, the community that we have as men definitely needs to be one of brotherhood when we're talking about being dads, being fathers. So yeah, that's what we're going to get into this episode. So a couple of things that I do want to make sure everybody understands. This podcast here is for, and I made it more blue collar themed, those that are working in the construction, the oil field, right? Blue collar dads. But we're not going to negate some of the other dads that are out there, great dads that are out there that are, in the white collar jobs as well. So this is, isn't to single anybody out. It's more themed around the blue collar, me being a blue collar worker myself. I wanted that theme, being a veteran as well. Lots of veteran dads that are out there. So this is for everybody. So I'm talking all dads of all walks of life. This is the podcast for you guys. So why brotherhood matters. First and foremost, we all need somebody to talk to. Sometimes us men don't like to, talk about what we got going on. We'll figure it out. We put our head down, our brain gets to working. Again, we have that, bunch of million different things that are going on in our head. But fatherhood in itself could be isolating. It can be isolating, especially when you're a working dad that's working away, working those crazy hours, working the night shift, juggling those long hours, as well as trying to maintain and keep everything going on the home front. Because again, us as men, we are taught handle it alone. Figure it out, right? We're also hardwired to, be protectors, be providers. We're strong. We're supposed to, show strength, show leadership. But sometimes with all that stuff that we end up having, we start to isolate ourselves. We start to, okay, we're going to figure it out alone. We're going to, figure out how to maneuver and get things done. And being isolated could lead to burnout. I know we talked about burnout, last episode. So it could end up being leading to that burnout or that emotional or mental fatigue that sometimes, we deal with. Because again, work is work. It's going to be stressful if you work in the trades. Sometimes things don't always go right. Sometimes, there's shit that happens. You have a supervisor that's down your neck constantly because they're having a bad day. And we got to deal with all that, not to mention all the other stuff that we end up having to deal with, home life, work life, the kids. So a brotherhood of fathers ends up giving you different perspectives, right? Because I see what I see through my eyes, but maybe you are seeing something different if I, kind of explain my situation. So it gives you a different perspective on how maybe to tackle a certain problem or how you should go about a certain situation. It also helps, when we're talking about brotherhood amongst fathers, sometimes we need that accountability partner. Sometimes we need somebody to be able to hold us accountable. Like, hey, dog, you are fucking up. Like, you need to fix your shit. If not, you're gonna end up, losing your kids. Your family's gonna get broken up. Like, sometimes our circle. Now, mind you, again, not saying, your entire circle has to be dads, but if you are a dad, again, what are we doing? What are we talking about? Or, football games, softball games, track meets, like, doing stuff with the kids. Like, I'm a girl dad, so, associating with other girl dads and girls that are friends and in the same age, play the same sports, we start talking about, homecoming and their seniors this year and, what's graduation going to look like, signing day, like, and it's a good feeling to have, to know that you can, bounce ideas, bounce thoughts back and forth between like-minded individuals. Again, a dad. And then with that, that brotherhood of fathers, of dad, you end up getting words of encouragement because you have some, especially like in the workforce, you have some older dads that are out there, might even be grandparents that you can, talk to and discuss. And, they give you those words of advice because they've been through certain things. Their kids are now adults and have their own kids and their grandkids. So a brotherhood definitely matters when we're talking about, fatherhood and dads. Yes, that brotherhood, that community definitely helps when we are when we're talking being a good dad. You got to have a community around you. So again, why brotherhood matters. Here's a little scenario. A dad ends up being overwhelmed by work, finds support from another father going through the same struggle that you are, right? So again, this is real world shit. This is stuff that happens, right? Like the same problems I could be having, somebody else could be having. So again, that bouncing of the ideas, the perspectives on how they're maybe handling it, and then how maybe you're handling it. So again, it's, the real world scenarios. Or, if you're a single dad reconnects with old friends to help him, rebuild that confidence after a divorce. And again, being a single dad, I don't know, shout out to all the single dads out there that are doing it, that are holding it down, that are, striving for the best outcome for their kids. But yeah, you end up, reconnecting with some of those old friends, even if they are, married and have kids of their own, you still reconnect with some of those old friends to help you rebuild that confidence, that those words of encouragement and advice after, your situation. So here's a couple of tips that I want to give when we're talking about why brotherhood matters. You got to identify at least 2 to 3 men that you trust for real conversations. Again, 2 to 3 men that you trust for real conversations, not just the small talk. And what does that do? That makes your circle, again, I can have, 500 friends, right? But I need 2 or 3 of those men, those dads that are going to shoot it to me straight. They're not going to sugarcoat anything. They're not going to, feed me a bunch of bullshit, but they're going to be there for the real conversations. Again, people that you trust, people that you've known for a while, whether that, be, your brother, that be some, a coworker that you've worked with, in the trades coming up. Y'all came up, through the ranks together, but 2 to 3 men that you trust to have those real conversations. And then do not wait for connection to find you. You have to build that. You got to join communities, church groups, online fatherhood spaces. Go onto Facebook and see where there's, fatherhood talk that's going on. This podcast could be one of those communities that you join to be able to bounce questions off. Because again, we're only human, and we know what we know. And if we don't know that these groups and stuff are out there, well, guess what? Then, we're that less ready or equipped to continue on striving to be a good dad. So find those communities, right? Those communities aren't going to find you. You definitely have to go out there, search for those communities, search for that brotherhood that you're looking for, right? If you don't have it in your immediate circle, right, go find it. Join the communities. Again, Facebook, I know, has a bunch of dad communities. There's a TikTok trend that's going around now, dads supporting dads, right? So, check that out. Church groups, if you whatever church you go to, you could end up, finding a group of dads. I know some churches have, they have a women's Bible study. They have a men's Bible study. They even go like on retreats and little outings and stuff. Just dads, just men to talk about what's going on. So again, find those. So when we're talking about the power of shared experiences, right? Us men's usually connect through a shared commonality, something that we have in common, right? So, it could be struggle, right? If we have a common struggle that we have, work fatigue, any kind of discipline challenges, stuff going on with the kids, right? Me being a girl dad, if I somebody asks me about something having to deal with girls, I can give that advice, right? Financial pressures that might be coming. So think about when you are navigating fatherhood and again, how powerful a shared experience, like your struggle could be somebody else's struggle. And we just talked about it, that brotherhood ends up bringing that different perspective, that other eyes. We're looking at it through our eyes, but somebody might see it a little differently. Somebody might, give you a different vantage point on how to maybe tackle that financial pressure that you might be going through, or how to navigate, raising girls, right? So again, just, your shared experiences end up being, right, what we think is a failure, right? When we're talking about different perspectives, if we think it's a failure, another dad might, call it progress. So share those experiences, get that advice and encouragement, find your tribe, your brotherhood of fathers. Also, collective wisdom helps you see that your pain isn't just, what it is. It's unique, and that in itself is also freeing, right? The weight of the world is on our shoulders, and then sometimes, when we're able to collectively discuss, and that other people might be having the same issues you are, that's a big weight off of our shoulders, that your pain isn't unique. Why? Because again, other people might be having those same issues. And if they're in your circle, they're dads that you talk to, that you get advice from, peers that you might get advice from, that's such a freeing relief that we are able to do, kind of lift some of that weight off of our shoulders and help us get through being a dad, right? Being a man, being a dad. So a couple more, scenarios, figure, we work in construction, a construction crew of fathers who talk family during their lunch breaks. They share tips on parenting teenage kids. They're, talking about, especially those that are new dads, you end up talking about the kids. Hey, how's the kids doing? You start showing pictures and videos and stuff, and then it becomes, again, that camaraderie of, I know it happens a lot in the military, the camaraderie, we talk about camaraderie, but it also happens, out in the civilian world on the construction site, to where, during our lunch breaks and the time, because we're with these group of individuals a lot more time sometimes than we are with our family, with our kids. So being able to discuss those things, I think, helps also, not let us feel so down on ourselves. So just keep that in mind, right? When you are on your lunch break, you're out there, hey, how the kids doing, get familiar. Obviously, if it's a new guy on there, you're going to have to, give him shit and see where his headspace is at, if he's going to last or not. But then after that, once, you start figuring out, who the person is, get to know them, you get to know your crew or whatnot, then you're able to, again, share these tips, talk about the families, and it helps to build, again, those shared experiences. And then another, kind of scenario, an online dad circle where members swap stories about balancing work and home life, right? Again, the Facebook communities, the TikTok communities, where you can get in the comment section, like, any social media. And these days, like, I wasn't a dad, back way back then, right? Like before social media and stuff. But now, being a dad, the information is at our fingertips. The communities and stuff are at our fingertips, to where we can, type what we're looking for in any social media platform and be able to find that dad circle, that dad community, that camaraderie that you might need to, bounce some ideas off of. So just keep that in mind as well. If you're on your lunch break, maybe you don't want to talk to your coworkers, that's fine. Maybe go online and hit a Facebook group of dads, a TikTok group of dads, Instagram, wherever you end up, utilizing your social media, there's stuff out there for us dads. So a couple of tips: be honest in your brotherhood, right? Being honest and that vulnerability. Hey, I'm going through something. Hey, I'm having this issue at home. It breeds trust. It builds that trust amongst the group that you're in. Again, remember those two to three men that you can, trust to have honest conversations. Be honest. Don't lie about the shit that you have going on. Because again, once you kind of break that trust, it's kind of like, with our kids. Again, I'm a girl dad, but I also, as they have gotten older, that's one thing that, I would instill in them. Don't break the trust, because it takes that much longer to get it back, right? So again, same thing goes with your brothers, right? That you're trying to build camaraderie and have that circle of dads to go to. Yeah. Be forthcoming, be a little vulnerable, don't bullshit. Don't try to make it sound like something that isn't true or really isn't happening. No, be truthful, because again, we're all human, but we feed off of that more than anything else. Trust. Check on your dad friends, right? Another tip, check on your dad friends the same way you checked on your coworker safety harness, regularly, the way you check on the guy that's, working in the hole. Check on your dad friends, see how they're doing. Hey, what's going on? And it could even be, a weekly check-in, a monthly check-in, your dad, depending on your dad's circle, if y'all are in the same vicinity, working on the same job site or whatnot, once a week, maybe, go have a dinner, Buffalo Wild Wings, have a couple beers, and talk. Like, y'all can do that, but check on your dad friends. Make sure that they're doing all right. Their mental is good, that they're emotionally solid. And if something needs to be talked out, discussed, well, hey, let's talk about it, right? And when we're talking brotherhood, right, accountability and growth are very, very key, right? We're growing as men, as a person. We're growing as a father, as a dad, right? But being able to one, look yourself in the mirror, hold yourself accountable, right? But also having people around you that are willing to hold you accountable, that are willing to call you out on the bullshit that you might be doing, or give you words of encouragement and advice. So again, accountability and growth. Real brotherhood isn't just comfort. It's correction, right? I'm not gonna baby you. I'm not gonna, tell you what you want to hear. I'm gonna tell you how it is. Right. And I hope, your father group and those that are around you end up doing the same. I'm going to tell you what it is, and I'm going to, try to help you correct the situation. Now, I will say this. You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink. That is a personal decision, us as men, that we have to want to grow, that we want to change and be able to be the best dads to our kids, right? We want to be able to correct whatever situation we might be going through for the best outcome, right? Now, that being said, if you have a good group of dads, a good, circle around you that's gonna, again, correct the bullshit, but also, hold you accountable and then congratulate you on the progress that you are making. Yeah, we definitely need to make sure that, we have those people around. And a good fatherhood brother won't let you slack on your responsibilities. Especially if you talked, again, that vulnerability, the homies know exactly what's going on, right? They're going to hold you accountable, and they're not going to let you slack off on what you have going on. Or once they see, that change starting to come back, they're not going to let you go backwards. They're going to, continue to push you forward, right? And again, if we fail, right, we're not failing. We're not a failure, because fail is that first attempt in learning, right? As long as we're failing forward and we're learning forward and we have forward momentum, forward progress, that in itself shows growth. And then you have the people around you to hold you accountable and kick you in the ass and until you get back up, dust yourself off, and let's go, right? They're going to be behind you, pushing you, encouraging you, pulling you back to stop you from maybe doing something crazy. So that way you don't end up, slipping back into, situation or going back into a situation that you just kind of got out of. So again, a couple of tips when we're talking about accountability and growth. Give your brothers permission to call your ass out. And also, again, talking about the brotherhood, having, those people around you. If you give your brothers the permission, the fathers, the dads that are around you to call you out, you do the same favor and make sure that they're on the same understanding, that you're able to return that favor. Because again, if you're progressing, you're growing, and they fall into a situation, you want to be able to return that favor, maybe call them out on it, help them out, give them that advice. So that way, again, it's a back and forth, a give and take, and not just, me, right? Create a small accountability ritual, right? A group chat, like I said, a weekly meetup, any kind of dad goals text thread, right? And a lot happens inside these communities, right? On Facebook, on the social medias and stuff. So yeah, create a ritual for yourself, something that you can go back to, read, right? Maybe you're progressing at 3 months down the road, you can maybe come back if you see yourself those signs, and you start doing certain things, right? You can go back and like, oh shit, yeah, he told me this, and the dad called my ass out on this, and these goals that we have going on, like it definitely is one of those things that could be done. Me, I like writing stuff down, right? I like to make it tangible so I can come back to it, read it, right? So again, if you're journaling, that's great. But the group chat, especially with those 2 or 3 guys that you end up having around you. And then when we are talking about building community, right? Building community for the next generation, our new dads that are coming, our kids that will potentially become dads if you have sons, our daughters that may, end up having sons, and so on and so forth. When us dads, us fathers unite, families end up thriving, right? Communities grow stronger. They end up being, more fruitful. And it was, how did it used to go? It takes a village to raise a child, and in a sense, I'm a firm believer in that. It does, but dependent if you're in the right village, right? Obviously, if you're not in the right village, you're not in the right, one, personal headspace, emotional space, mental space, but also depending on the friends and people that you're hanging around, that environment might need to change for the betterment of the kid. So being that we're building community for, again, the next generation, i.e. our kids, the brotherhood teaches your kids what unity looks like, right? Again, they emulate us. They see us doing certain things, our rituals, our habits, our routines. Well, if they see that you are going, say you're going golfing on a Saturday with the guys, right? Bring them along to see how you guys are, communicating, connecting. Now, obviously, certain things are not privy to the kids, and certain things that you talk about amongst in your fatherhood group and in your dad group, right? Those stay between that. That's a bond that you guys create. But it also teaches your kids how to talk, how to be emotionally intelligent, how to be vulnerable, but also what sticking together and unity looks like, what accountability, having someone holding them accountable, right? Then that'll rub off as they get older, and then they end up doing that with their friend group. I'll give you an example. So one of my daughters ended up going to a party. Now, mind you, again, I remember what I was doing at parties, and it scared the living shit out of me. Being able to, be a dad now and know that she's going to a party, I'm like, no, why? But again, this is where doing the right thing and showing our kids those values and then that stuff that we need them to understand. went to a party. I guess an issue ended up happening, and she was one that got her friends, said, hey, let's go. This is what we're doing. We're not going to be involved in that. And she made sure that all her friends were safe after the little situation had popped off. And that right there, again, being a leader, being someone that, has their head on a swivel and knows situational awareness and all these things. So it was a proud dad moment that I can speak of, right? I don't like saying that she went to a party, but nonetheless, it was a proud dad moment when I knew that she was, again, being a leader, showing that unity and being able to get her friends, to a safe place, get out of there, and nothing happened. So just make sure that your children see men working together, right? Not competing. Now, granted, I'm a very competitive person. You tell me that you can beat me, I'm going to do my damnedest so that way you don't, right? Point blank, period. But at the same time, when we're talking about, in our dad group, right, they need to see that, we're working together. We can work together. Dads can work together, right? Because then they end up seeing that. They end up emulating that as they get older. So again, we're talking building community. We're talking the brotherhood of dads. Start local. One event, one meetup, one message thread. That's all it takes. It only takes one, right? Once you got one under your belt, then you can go, then you get invited to the next meetup or, to the next event, or you yourself start a message thread and see what dads that are out there that might need some advice with some of the stuff that you might have going on. Keep that in mind, because again, your experience could be a shared experience with somebody else going through the same thing that you might be going through. Couple motivational quotes for you guys before we get out of here. One of the biggest things, again, I want to reiterate, making sure that us dads look ourselves in the mirror and know that we're only human. We make mistakes, but we continue to move forward with forward progress, right? Even if, whatever ends up happening, your situation knocks you on your ass. We as dads, as fathers, we get back up, and our circle, our brotherhood of other dads and fathers that are around us should be there, hopefully should be there to help you get back up, to make that standing back up process a little more, a little easier, a little more, or a little less stressful. So again, I started with this, and iron sharpens iron, point blank, period. Iron sharpens iron, and real dads sharpen each other, right? A real dad to another dad is going to call you out on your bullshit. It's going to hold you accountable. It's going to encourage you and give you a hug and give you that pat on the back and tell you that you're doing a damn good job. You're a damn good dad, right? Here's one more. Strong fathers build stronger families, but united fathers build stronger communities. Damn. Where was this when I was coming up, man? Damn. But yes, strong fathers build stronger families, but united fathers end up building stronger communities. Again, we're not in competition, guys. And again, I'm a very competitive person. If we're competing for something, yeah, of course, I'm not going to slack off. I'm not going to let you win. You got to win. You got to beat me fair and square. But us as dads, let's work together. Let's work together. Let's bounce ideas off. Let's pick each other up. Let's be a little vulnerable if we have to, but make sure that we're building those stronger communities, not for us, but for our kids and our kids' kids. And hopefully if we are able to, reach that nice young age, our kids, our grandkids' kids, right? Our great grandkids, that would be amazing. So find your circle, build your tribe, be the man another dad can lean on and learn from, because the world might get heavy. But do not fret, brothers. Do not fret. There's a brotherhood out there for you. Keep showing up. Keep standing tall. Keep leading the mission. I'm out. Y'all know how to reach us. OperationFatherhood25@gmail.com. Find me on all social media platforms at Joe the Sound God. I'm on X. I'm on TikTok. I'm on Instagram, LinkedIn, wherever you find me at. But yes, greatly appreciate y'all for tuning in, and we will see you on the next one. Peace.